Hello, a really useful technique in balloon decorating for creating all sorts of designs is the Raisin method. And there are two different ones. You can use either an internal or an external raisin, depending on what you want to create. So here, this is an internal raisin, so you can't actually see it. We've got a perfectly smooth top to the balloon, but what we've done is to attach a monofilament to that internal raisin, which gives you a useful suspension point if you wanted to create the effect of helium-filled balloons without the helium, for instance, in a display, or if you just wanted to use it to attach other things to. This is quite a useful method to use the internal raisin. I've also used the internal raisin method here to create a very gentle distortion of this balloon, which would make ideal apples, pumpkins, all sorts of things. And because you're using a raisin, you can put that raisin wherever you want it. So you can have the distortion on any area of the balloon, or even multiple ones, and that's really useful. So that's another method for another one for the internal raisin. And an external raisin simply creates an attachment point on the outside of the balloon, which gives you a really firm anchor if you're joining balloons together, adding extras to them. So it's a very, very, very handy technique. So I should demonstrate those now just to show you how they work. We'll start off with the internal raisin. What you need to do first is to create the raisin itself. So use a scrap of latex balloon if you want, or just a 5-inch balloon. Tie it a couple of times to create a nice large knot. Before you tie it off finally, if we're going to use the one where we're using a suspension method, just put a piece of monofilament across, tie it around there, so that you're attaching your little raisin to the monofilament. Trim off the bits you don't need. Oops. So that we've literally just got a small bobble of latex, and then tie the monofilament so that it can't slide out of the raisin, so it's nice and firmly attached. Tie that off and remove the bit you don't want. There. Now don't throw away the end here, because the neck roll is really useful for attaching everything together. And then when you've done that, take your balloon, can be any size, inflate nice and big, and then put your raisin on the top of the balloon, or wherever you want your attachment point to be, doesn't have to be the top, and push it through the balloon and out through the neck. Like so. So there you can see the end of my finger with the raisin on it coming out through the neck of the balloon. Grab hold of that with the other hand. Then you can deflate the balloon, but don't let go of this. We need to do that to get the latex nicely stretched around the raisin so that it doesn't distort the shape of the balloon when you re-inflate it. Take the neck roll that you cut off and wrap it round as tight as you can, multiple times, and that will keep the raisin trapped inside the balloon. Then you can turn the balloon back the other way again so that the raisin goes inside the balloon. Hang on a minute, got a little bit tangled. There we go. That's better. And then we can inflate it. So if I cut the monofilament so that I don't get tangled up with it, and then we inflate as normal. And because we've used such a tiny little bit of the balloon to cover that raisin on the inside, it doesn't affect the shape of the inflated balloon or the size of it in any way. So it's really very, very useful from that point of view. Lovely and tidy and smooth on the end. This version is very, very similar. Create your raisin again. 2 or 3 knots all in the same place is enough. So you've got this small bobble there. Remove what you don't need. Trim off the neck roll. And then exactly the same method as before. So inflate your balloon. Put your raisin wherever you want the distortion to be. I'll stick with it on the top there. Push it all the way through. Grab hold of it with the other hand. Deflate the balloon. But this time we're going to tie a 260 around it. I'm just going to ribbon that 260 first so that we don't get bubbles of air trapped in it. Tie that around your raisin nice and tight, a couple of times round, and a good tight knot. So that it stays nice and firm. Turn the balloon back the right way out. Keep the 260 coming out of the neck this time. And then inflate your balloon. Actually, I'll let it down a little bit. We want the balloon to be softer. And then all you need to do is pull on the 260 to create the amount of distortion that you actually want. So it just pulls a dent into the top of the balloon, which will be matched on the other end when you tie it off, because the 260 will equalise the tension between the two. Like so. So again, really useful to create texture and shape in a balloon like that. For an external raisin, it's very, very similar, but obviously the other way around. So we'll just make the raisin one more time. Cut off what we don't need. Save your neck roll. There's a bit of raisin there. Don't need that anymore. And then we're going to drop the raisin into the balloon before we start. So the raisin is now inside. Get it down into the body of the balloon. Inflate the balloon nice and tight. Now we need to grab the raisin through the skin of the balloon, which is going to be almost impossible at the moment because the balloon is very, very firm. But just shake it around so you can see where it is, and then let the air out of the balloon until it's soft enough for you to reach through and grab the raisin. So a little bit more. Got it. There we go. So I've now caught the raisin through the skin of the balloon and let that down. Keeping the tension on there so it's stretched nice and tight around the raisin. Use the neck roll to trap that raisin in place. So 2 or 3 times around, maybe more if you can. The more you can wrap it, the tighter it will be and the firmer it will be. And there we go. On top there. Now we can inflate the balloon, and again like with the first one, because we stretched the balloon first around the raisin, we've used very little of the latex, which means that you should be able to inflate this to a normal size and shape if that's what you want. And then you can use this to attach anything you like to. So just out of interest, or I'll use a little cluster. And I'm going to use one of the necks, hold onto the raisin with one hand, pull the neck around a few times, through the balloons, And there you have it. And it's really, really, really firmly attached. Much more secure than glue dots, anything else. So if you need to attach stuff to the outside of the balloon, use an external Raisin twist. If you want to distort it or create an attachment point that you can't see, use an internal Raisin twist. Lots more videos, lots more ideas, lots more inspiration on the Amscan Decorator Hub. Just go to amscan.co.uk, click on the big button that says Decorator Hub, and you'll find a lot of inspiration there.